In a world where pocket change is often overlooked, imagine stumbling across a tiny copper coin in your old desk drawer, a coin so seemingly ordinary you might think twice before even picking it up. But this isn't just any coin, this is the legendary 1951 USA wheat penny, a small piece of history minted in San Francisco, its humble face value just 1 cent. Yet its astonishing rarity and pristine preservation have propelled it into the record books as one of the most valuable pennies ever to exist, fetching an eye-watering $3 million in auctions and private sales, the kind of life-changing money most of us only dream about. And here's the twist. Millions of 1951's pennies were made, but only a tiny fraction survived in near-perfect condition without scratches, discoloration, or the faintest hint of wear, making the flawless specimens almost mythical among collectors. Their value skyrocketing due to the obsessive hunt by numismatists worldwide, each detail from the sharpness of Lincoln's profile to the crispness of the wheat stalks on the reverse playing a critical role in determining authenticity and grade. And it's not just about rarity, it's about the fascinating story behind how coins like these survive decades hidden away in forgotten jars, safety deposit boxes, or tucked into old envelopes as keepsakes, and how such a small, light object can hold the weight of history in its copper alloy. Carrying the echoes of 1951 America when gas was 27 cents a gallon, color TV was still a novelty, and the post-war boom was reshaping the nation. And think about the thrill: a garage sale purchase, a flea market find, an attic clean-out, where an unnoticed wheat penny turns out to be the ultimate jackpot, the heart-racing moment when you realize that what you hold could pay off your mortgage, fund your dream business, or set you up for life. And experts say that the key to spotting the big winners lies in details so fine they require magnification, searching for that mint-state perfection, the absence of contact marks, the blazing original luster that reflects light like a mirror, and in some cases, unique minting errors that multiply the coin's worth beyond imagination. Stories circulate online of lucky individuals who cashed in on life-changing finds, and with the rise of social media, the legend of the $1 million penny spreads faster than ever, inspiring thousands to dig through jars and boxes of spare change, because somewhere out there, more of these treasures might still exist, waiting to be discovered by someone with the curiosity to look. And that's the magic: history, luck, and sharp eyes intersecting in a single unforgettable moment. So next time you see a wheat penny, especially one from 1951 with that tiny S mark under the date, don't dismiss it, take a closer look, because you never know if fate just handed you a multi-million-dollar fortune. And when you think about it, the story of the 1951's wheat penny is not just about a rare object changing someone's financial future overnight. It's also a fascinating lens into the unpredictable world of coin collecting, or numismatics, a world where patience, attention to microscopic detail, and a little bit of luck can turn something you might ignore at the bottom of a purse into a legendary find, because every coin minted carries with it a history that is both personal and national. A history that includes the conditions in the mint when it was struck, the quality of the dyes used, the exact chemical composition of the copper alloy, and even the political and economic climate of the time. And for the 1951's penny, the circumstances align in such a way that only a vanishingly small number emerge in perfect condition, untouched by circulation, stored under conditions that prevented even the tiniest bit of oxidation or surface abrasion. Which is why when one surfaces in mint state 67 or higher on the Sheldon grading scale, collectors are willing to bid astronomical amounts, because they are not just buying metal, they are buying a piece of Americana preserved like a time capsule, a glimpse into the past where Lincoln's bust is razor sharp, the wheat stalks look as if they were engraved yesterday, and the lustrous red finish gleams under the light in a way that is almost hypnotic, drawing the eye and making the heart race. And what's remarkable is how this coin can appear in the most unexpected places, sometimes tucked in the back of a drawer by someone's grandfather who collected coins for fun, or sitting in a coffee tin of pennies accumulated over decades, completely unrecognized until one day a curious hand picks it up and notices the year and the tiny S mint mark, prompting a quick online search, and suddenly the finder's entire world shifts because they realize they might be holding something worth more than their car. And what's even more astonishing is that even seasoned collectors occasionally miss treasures like these. Because the difference between a common circulated 1951s worth a couple of cents and the ultra-rare gem-quality one worth millions lies in the tiniest details: the sharpness of the rim, the absence of hairline scratches, the original luster that reflects light in a cartwheel pattern, details invisible to the casual glance but obvious to an expert's trained eye. And it's this razor-thin margin between ordinary and extraordinary that keeps collectors endlessly searching, fueling stories of finds that have changed lives, like the man in California who inherited his uncle's modest coin collection only to find a 1951 graded MS-68 RD tucked in a protective flip, which later sold for nearly $3 million, or the teenager who bought a handful of wheat pennies at a flea market for $1, unaware that one of them was in near-perfect condition, and whose parents almost didn't believe the appraisal until the offers came flooding in from major auction houses. And each of these tales becomes part of the modern legend of the 1951s, adding to its mystique and driving even more people to hunt for one. And in doing so they join a tradition of treasure hunting that goes back centuries, tapping into something primal, the hope that maybe, just maybe, a life-changing windfall could be hidden in plain sight. And as social media spreads these stories faster than ever, more people than ever before are learning how to spot the telltale signs of a high-grade coin, with videos showing slow-motion close-ups of shimmering copper surfaces, side-by-side comparisons between circulated and uncirculated examples, and explanations of why certain minting errors, like doubled dies or off-center strikes, can make a coin worth exponentially more. And while the 1951s is rare, it's not alone in the pantheon of valuable pennies. There are the 1943 copper Lincoln cents, the 1909 SVDB, and others. But what sets the 1951s apart is that it comes from a year and mint that produced millions of coins, yet so very few have survived in that immaculate state, which makes finding one feel almost like discovering a four-leaf clover in a field of grass. And you might wonder why anyone would pay millions for a penny when you could buy a luxury home, a fleet of cars, or invest in stocks. But for serious collectors, the answer is simple. They are buying not only the rarity but the story, the bragging rights, the satisfaction of owning something so few others ever will. And often these coins become the crown jewel of a collection, displayed in a climate-controlled case, insured for staggering amounts, and shown only to trusted fellow collectors or at major coin shows where they draw crowds who marvel at their perfection. And in some ways the 1951s penny is a perfect metaphor for hidden potential, something small, overlooked, underestimated, but with qualities that, under the right circumstances, can reveal staggering value. And that's why so many people who learn about it can't resist checking their change, combing through rolls of pennies from the bank, or revisiting old coin jars, because in a world where most of us have to work for every dollar, the possibility that a single coin could change everything is too tempting to ignore. And that's exactly why if you're holding a wheat penny right now, you might want to take a magnifying glass and look closely at that date, at that mint mark, at the way the light plays across its surface, because who knows, you might be staring at your ticket to financial freedom. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most mind-blowing stories in the history of American coins, and want to hear more about the rare finds, crazy auction results, and unbelievable tales of people striking it rich with items they didn't even know were valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Because the next story I share could be the one that inspires you to look a little closer at what's been hiding right under your nose. And speaking of the staggering values certain pennies can reach when the stars align, there's another story that has electrified the coin collecting community and inspired treasure hunters across the globe. The tale of the 1958 doubled die Lincoln cent. A coin so rare and so valuable that its discovery and sale at $5 million has cemented it as one of the most extraordinary finds in American numismatic history. And unlike the 1951s wheat penny, which owes its astronomical price to mint state perfection and scarcity, the 1958 doubled die cent owes its fame to a spectacular minting error that created an unmistakable doubling effect on the coin's date and lettering, an error so bold and clear that even without magnification, the overlapping impressions leap out to the naked eye, creating a visual effect that both fascinates and perplexes. A tiny copper artifact that tells a story of mechanical imperfection during an era when quality control at the Philadelphia Mint was considered exceptionally strict, which only deepens the mystery of how such a glaring error could have escaped into circulation at all. And the answer, according to experts, lies in the intricate process of die creation, where a working die is impressed multiple times with a hub, and if misalignment occurs between strikes, the design elements can appear doubled, and in 1958, for reasons still debated among specialists, a tiny handful of dies were produced with this dramatic doubling, and from them emerged only a few cents before the defect was caught and corrected, with most of the flawed coins likely melted down, leaving perhaps just 3 known survivors in the entire world, each one now a priceless relic guarded like a crown jewel, and the rarity alone would be enough to make collectors' hearts race. But combined with the boldness of the error, the historical intrigue, and the enduring popularity of Lincoln wheat cents, the result is a feverish demand that drives prices into the millions. Whenever one surfaces, with the record-breaking $5 million sale becoming a moment that still reverberates in the hobby, igniting debates about the upper limits of what a single cent could be worth and fueling an entire generation of enthusiasts to start searching every penny they encounter. And the fascination with this coin is not just about its monetary value, but also the almost cinematic romance of a hidden treasure story, because the first known example was not discovered by a seasoned dealer or high-profile collector, but by an ordinary individual who, upon noticing the strange doubling on the date, brought it to a local coin shop, setting off a chain of events that led to authentication by top grading services, national headlines, and eventually a record-setting auction. And what's even more thrilling is that every collector who has ever seen one in person describes the experience as almost surreal. The copper surface gleaming with the deep reddish tones typical of well-preserved wheat cents, the doubling so sharp and pronounced it feels like a printing error in a fine art piece, and this physical reality, this tactile connection to a moment of imperfection frozen in metal, is what transforms an object worth 1 cent into something valued in the millions. And the psychology behind this is as fascinating as the coins themselves, because humans have always been drawn to rarity, to anomalies, to owning something that almost no one else on earth can possess, and the 1958 double-die wheat penny fits that craving perfectly, its story interwoven with the broader narrative of mid-century America, a time when the country was on the cusp of the 1960s Cultural Revolution, when coin collecting itself was entering a golden age fueled by the post-war economic boom, when families across the nation were filling blue Whitman coin folders with wheat cents plucked from circulation, never suspecting that some of the greatest rarities of the era might already be slipping through their fingers into pockets, cash registers, and bank rolls. And today, decades later, the legend of the 1958 double die continues to grow, every confirmed sighting adding another layer to its mythology, and its influence can be seen in the way modern collectors meticulously examine each cent they acquire, turning coins under bright light, rotating them slowly, watching for that doubling on the date and inscriptions that could signal a life-changing discovery. And this ritual of searching is almost meditative for some, a mixture of hope and patience, because they know that lightning can strike again, that somewhere, perhaps in an old coffee can in someone's basement, or at the bottom of a forgotten cigar box, another 1958 double die might be waiting to emerge, and when it does, the rush will be instantaneous, the phone calls to grading services will be made, the collectors and dealers will mobilize, and the cycle of excitement, bidding wars, and headlines will repeat, just as it has for other great rarities, but few have the power to capture the imagination like this one, because it is not just a coin, it is an icon, a perfect storm of error, scarcity, and visual drama, and its $5 million price tag is more than just a number, it's a symbol of the heights to which the numismatic market can climb when passion, history, and rarity intersect. And as these stories of the 1951s and the 1958 double die spread across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and countless coin forums, more and more people are inspired to join the hunt, flooding banks with requests for rolls of pennies, attending coin shows with magnifiers in hand, and swapping tales of near misses and thrilling finds. And with every new collector comes the possibility that the next big discovery is just around the corner, because the truth is, history is still out there in the form of small, round copper treasures hiding in plain sight, and the adventure of finding them is as much about the journey as it is about the payday, though for the lucky few who stumble across these legendary coins, that payday can be nothing short of life-changing. So keep your eyes open, your magnifying glass ready, and your curiosity alive, because the next story of a penny turning into millions could be yours. And if you're captivated by these tales of rare coins and the incredible fortunes they've brought to those who found them, remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more breathtaking discoveries from the hidden corners of numismatic history. And moving deeper into the fascinating realm of wee pennies that have defied all expectations and achieved prices so astonishing they seem almost unbelievable to anyone outside the numismatic world. The 1945 Lincoln wheat cent holds a place in the pantheon of million-dollar coins not because it was born from a minting error as dramatic as the doubled die of 1958, or because of the mint-state perfection and scarcity of the 1951s. But because in an exceptionally rare set of circumstances. Certain examples of the 1945 1-cent piece have been preserved in such flawless condition, with such blazing original luster and immaculate surfaces, that their appeal to elite collectors has pushed their auction prices into the realm of $5 million, a figure that would have been unimaginable in the years immediately after World War II when this coin first entered circulation. And the year 1945 itself carries immense historical weight, marking the end of a global conflict, the return of soldiers to their homes, and the dawn of a new chapter in American prosperity. And every coin minted that year is a silent witness to that era. But the vast majority of 1945 wheat pennies were heavily circulated, their once bright copper surfaces dulled by years of handling in the hands of millions of Americans. Which is why finding an example that looks today exactly as it did the moment it left the dies in the Philadelphia Mint is an almost impossible feat, and yet a microscopic handful exist, locked away for decades in rolls or collectors' albums, sheltered from air, moisture, and touch, preserving the deep red coloration, the microscopic strike details on Lincoln's cheek and jawline, the sharply defined wheat stalks, and the crisp, squared rims that signal to any experienced grader that this coin has never known the wear of commerce, and in a market where rarity, condition, and historical resonance converge, such a specimen becomes a prize beyond measure, igniting fierce competition among the top echelon of buyers who see it not merely as a collectible but as an irreplaceable artifact of national heritage. And when one such 1945 cent crossed the auction block in pristine MS-68 RD condition with a pedigree tracing back to a famous mid-century collector, the bidding escalated past every expectation until the hammer finally fell at $5 million. Setting a record that still reverberates through the hobby, and the allure of such a coin is multifaceted. Appealing to the historian who values its connection to a pivotal year, to the aesthete who admires the artistry and perfection of its strike, and to the investor who sees in it a tangible asset whose rarity makes it resistant to the fluctuations of more common markets. And what makes the story even more compelling is that this coin could easily have been lost to history, spent casually in the 1940s or 1950s, tossed into a cash drawer, or rattling around in a change jar, yet by some twist of fate it was spared, kept safe in conditions that preserved its beauty through generations until it emerged to stun the numismatic world. And this possibility, that a simple cent could survive decades and emerge as a multi-million-dollar treasure, fuels the dreams of countless collectors and treasure hunters, driving them to search through boxes of coins at estate sales, to sift patiently through bank rolls, to inspect every wee penny with a jeweler's loupe under bright light, looking for that one coin whose perfection could rewrite their financial future. And while the average 1945 wheat penny in worn condition might only be worth a few cents, the knowledge that a select few have reached values of $5 million transforms even the humblest penny hunt into an adventure, a quest infused with the tantalizing idea that history and fortune can sit unnoticed in the palm of your hand. And as the legends of the 1951s, the 1958 double die, and the 1945 Ultra Gem specimens circulate through social media, YouTube channels, collector forums, and auction catalogs, they inspire not only seasoned numismatists but also complete newcomers to the hobby, each person driven by the hope that they might stumble across the next great rarity. And this constant influx of new eyes examining old coins ensures that the world of rare wheat pennies remains vibrant, competitive, and rich with stories of improbable discoveries. And for those who have the patience to learn the fine distinctions between a merely nice coin and a truly extraordinary one, the rewards can be staggering, because the truth is that in the realm of numismatics, the smallest details, an undisturbed surface, a precise strike, a unique luster, can separate the ordinary from the legendary, and the 1945 cent that achieved $5 million is proof that even in a series as widely collected as Lincoln wheat cents, miracles of preservation still exist, waiting for the moment when their full beauty and significance are recognized by those with the knowledge, the passion, and the means to claim them. And for the rest of us, its story is a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary treasures come in the most unassuming forms, hidden in plain sight, carrying with them the weight of history and the promise of unimaginable value. And that is why collectors will continue to chase these legends, scrutinizing every coin, cherishing every find, and telling and retelling the stories of the 1951s, the 1958 double die, and the 1945 gem, passing them on to future generations as proof that in the world of coins, magic still exists. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the incredible saga of these million-dollar wheat pennies and want to hear even more about the rarest coins ever struck and the fortunes they have created, make sure to like, subscribe, and keep watching for the next unbelievable chapter in numismatic history.